Um, we're going to discuss what it would take to end all the bad stuff in the whole world today. And it'll come off as quite reasonable once we're through. To begin with, there are many different ways spiritually to be completely quiet where you are, not need or want anyone's approval, and to just be here for other people. You can quiet yourself, you can be available for other people, like my friend Ingar here would be for her children, for her daughter, just present spiritually. And that takes an enormous amount of training, right? But if you do it for just 2 or 3 weeks, just concentrating on something, a spot on the wall, or like a Zen meditation where you exteriorize your concentration. Or you have to practice these things, and these techniques are available somewhere, and they always work. Or you can just do it with your heart prayerfully. In other words, you don't react to anyone whatsoever in any way, in any part of your being. You can be completely calm and quiet through the practice of meditation. You can pray for it, and it can just happen. And everyone in this room is born spiritual, and everyone has their own case. All the things that they're stuffed in there that they don't know how to deal with. And so in one sense, you can quiet yourself. In another sense, you can transcend through it all, through having a sense of God and a sense of brotherhood with people that you love, sisterhood, whatever. It's a family sense that all families in the world have. And if you know, at the end of that, spiritually, like we talked about nuns and monks and spiritual brotherhoods or martial arts, for me or my friends here, it's a spiritual discipline. And you feel like one person when you're together with people like that, and you overcome all your individual, whatever sacrosanct to you is not, you're going to have to give it up eventually. Whether it's 2 months, a year, you give up all of your ego, because everyone experiences everyone else's plight in life. And the only plight that a spiritual person has is that you know that this must end, that this can't be, that there are thousands of people there dying of this, and a million there, and if you're a spiritual person early on, you take it all on. And then you can intellectually get lost for a while trying to figure out what the real culprits are, or what the causes for disease, for this, for that, for warfare. And once you're part of a spiritual discipline, all that disappears. Spiritual means we are our soul. And that's what a spiritual discipline implies. It's a way to overcome the everyday person that's caught in his own travail with this world, and to just simply be present. Like a mom would be with a child. It's just present. So there are different ways. Martial arts, brotherhood, it's you work with each other. Any spiritual community in the world should have that, and someone that clean at its head. And then once that happens, there is no head, there is no tail. It is everyone is completely sensitive to everyone else's presence, thoughts, emotions, needs, wants, desires, and everyone is there for a cause that will carry all humanity with it if it's a spiritual discipline. There's no separation. When Greg teaches his, whether it's 3 years old or 76-year-old, he teaches them to, first of all, respect their parents. In the classes, they bow to the parents, bow to him. So you're all bow to each other. It's a discipline where you're always ever getting a little bit better. You never become perfect. But the idea in the world is that in any discipline is you always become a little more highly motivated, a little more present, a little more concerned for your friends. And when it's a spiritual brotherhood, as the world should be, that all persons of sincere, deep thought understand that you're aware of the whole of humanity. I'm, as a spiritual person, if I can say this, humbly, respectfully, that I'm aware. I meet people from every religion, and around the world in my life, and it's always an instant friendship and a bond in the heart when nobody's home, when you know there's only God and you're nothing. And when I say you're nothing, spiritually it means you're contrite. There's no weakness with that. It's the strength that we're all aiming towards, to be able to be with one another, to care for one another, support one another in this, and lift everyone out of this craziness, this world we live in. And it's all done in consciousness. And the joy of being completely quiet inside is supersedes every other feeling, emotion. It's a simple, quiet joy. You're simply there and you're available for the next moment, the next moment. And now the main theme of this, the center piece of it, is that God himself, there is a God, an infinite intelligence and purity and kindness. It's infinitely more humble. Think of God as like 1,000 kittens or puppies, and then you got the sense of it. In other words, and then when you have that in your heart and soul, then it actually is God. So every moment that you're motivated to take part in this mission to end all the violence and hate and fear in the world, if you talk to any soldier or any martial artist or cop or whatever, you'd know that, the violence is wrong. There's nothing. You can't use war as an example to show about bravery. It's always, always, always wrong. This kind of warfare, spiritually though, again, the central theme is humility, kindness, working with one another, rebuilding the world or ending the world. The main focus, again, as always should be, is that God is actually God, and God himself, God, will be with us every millisecond of this quest. And the intelligence of God is so unimaginably enormous. And it's yours. It's what you put on the shelf to come here, to be birthed into this. Insanity is something you always were and always had. So if we work together as a sisterhood, a brotherhood, and we sense one another's everything about them, there's nothing to want or need or fear or hold too tightly on. It's just there, and God's there. So I feel it when I go with Greg with his martial arts students, or Pedro next door here, or when Terry's with people, who's the strongest man I know. It's just quiet. There's nobody home when you're that good at anything. And it's just, the point is, at some point when you just truly discover that God is completely there, then this is the point that we're making, is that there's an intelligence with the thing. In other words, you can be completely quiet, Zen thing, or you can be completely awake and aware and lifting everyone forward. And when you're doing that, most of the time you're almost not present. There's not a lot to communicate, but you're working with, like we talked about T.E. Lawrence last week, the great colonel from the First World War, who his service record was so enormous that there's no words for it, and all he did was he used his genius to figure out how to move here or there, and it wasn't an endless warfare. There were little raids here and there. And spiritually, this will happen in our life the same way. That will be not a whole lot of outward activity, but you're drawing in all the energies of all the people around you, like a mom would do. She got 7 kids, and their whole life she's aware of all of them, what they're doing, where they're at all the time, and her heart is waiting to help this one and that one, to make sure this one's safe. And it's the same thing. You become like the mother of everyone. And it's very hidden, and you rarely do something in the outward sphere of existence. It's something you do in your heart, and you know you're lifting, and know you're with people, and then when you join, like my buddy Greg, we don't have to say anything to each other, or certainly Tim Gatto, it's just there. It's a brotherhood. It's just a family. And when people are spiritual, it's something wonderful and remarkable. And trying to bring to the fore right now is this is happening in the world we live in now, and as off the boards and crazy as it might sound, it's happening, it's occurring, and it will end all the madness forever. And as enormous and strange and impossible as that sounds, it's a matter of a number of people becoming quiet. And it's not a religious activity, it is spiritual. And know that this is there, it's in the air. It's always been in the air. In fact, there's no air, and there's no always, there's no time. So when you get quiet one way or the other, or you take on this work, which involves the genius that we all have within us to bring everyone we know forward in different ways. You know, you're always like fixing, oh, my little brother did this or that, and we're all trying to have a beautiful Thanksgiving dinner, and well, you deal with that and you bring the person back into the family, right? With love, with kindness, and there is a certain drudgery while you're dealing with someone that you think everything's coming together and someone else is falling apart here or there. So you can become very quiet, you can heal, you can help anyone, or you can take on this work as, I like the Buddhist monk's sense of it, where you just take it on forever with everyone, and you wait till everyone else is quiet. And that's simply the way it's going to be. In this, we were saying that you can be completely quiet. There's no fear here because there's not even there's just a subtle wonderfulness. There's no human word for it. Because you're involved with God. You're not here. You check out from the world by being quiet. You know? Or you can be quiet and take on everyone with you. Normally people who are illumined spiritually feel nirvana. They're, like we talked about Ramakrishna or all the great Indian saints from all over the world. There's a condition called nirvana where you're so spiritual you really can't be around people. It's impossible. It's so painful. It's unimaginable. So what we're talking about is getting to that place and then using all these skills we have to be with people, to heal, to help, to redirect people's energies, and they're complex. And then you take that on. So, as awful as it has always been, all the saints' writings to just being around normal people when they're in this state of nirvana, well, now we're saying that's not enlightenment. We're going a step beyond that to say, yes, it is horrible, everyone is completely violent, everyone in the world who thinks they're in the world hates God. But you take that on to delicately lift this one, that one, the other one, and it's a work of contrition, of enlightenment, of kindness, of caring, of healing, of love, of motherhood, fatherhood, childhood. It's you're taking on all the garbage of the whole world within yourself. And when you do that, then there's a different level of enlightenment, which is to end the whole world that it seems to be. And the hidden joy of this, and the wonder of this, and the many, 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 many innumerable layers of genius involved in this are a thrill. To figure out new ways to help, to heal, to be present, to care, to make it through to the next day. And the joy with this is you will be filled throughout the day and night, evening hours, through the night, with presences, with understanding from God that are so sacred and yet so human and delicate and real. It's like putting together a Monet, a Van Gogh, where you're just every moment of the work of a divine work of art. It's so delicate and revealing and so supranormal. It's not anything I've ever seen written or whatever, but it's there within you. You're touched by God around the day, and so what you're going to do to end all the travail in the world is involves universal presences that are no one's ever thought about, but they're there available for us because we're changing ourselves. We have to become as God is, because the world is God awful. So it's a lot more work than we can ever dream. And And the only pain is interspersed during the day, where you have to be a person to be around other people. That's the only trauma, because you've given up everything you ever were, could be, or think, or feel as a human being. You give yourself up. You die on your feet. But it's beautiful. But then when you're around individuals that have no clue of what we're talking about today, it can be quite tedious. And again, you'll become more fully vibrant, alive, capable to help people, to redirect people, to care, to heal, to love, and you'll feel this sense of brotherhood, like I do with all my buddies, like Tim here. It's just something that we're all living through the same stupidity. So there's nothing to say to one another. I know when I was in northern India once, and there were Frida Bedi, the nun, introduced me to 5 lamas and monks. They were in a little room where she was at. She was the mother of everyone. And I looked around and I was like, stupid, like looking in the eyes of 5 people who were enlightened. I maybe went 1 or 2 before that, and then but I've had that experience since birth, and I was just, and there was a hairline of a moment, maybe I should say something to someone, but there was nothing to say, because everyone's living the same life. When I see my buddy Ventil or whatever, everyone's living the same thing, the same bad dream, but there's no problem with it, and there's nothing, you don't need anyone or want anyone, because you're willing to work every moment of every day, every second, every moment in the middle of the night, the morning. You're always looking for this next opening to embrace all of humanity and whatever is going on around you, to fulfill it, to relieve it, to heal it, to help it, to teach it, to just be nothing and be there for it, to be nothing for it. You give yourself, on the trash heap, burning up, and like you'll do that for this cause. It doesn't matter about you anymore. But the intelligence of it and the genius of it, that's why I mentioned T.E. Lawrence again, and I can't tell the whole story about that, but it's somewhat of great, great, great genius and intelligence, and where in warfare, the same as this, is a spiritual warfare, you're giving yourself up to something so wondrous and so great, and it's okay with you, because you have to decide the next moment to figure out how to work it, how to do it. I mean, Ingrid, wonderful mom here, how can you, in this world we live in today, socio-political, how can you even survive the absurdities around you? But if you're a mom, if you're a monk, if you're a nun, you do it. And I'm saying, if we do this, the guarantee we have is that Almighty God, the Father, is with us, will be with us. He guides us and leads us, and at the same time, we're the guide and we're the lead. Does it make sense? Because there's no ego, there's no sense of the world, and the visitations are so pure, so wonderful. You'll have them all day, every day. I'm going to say this because I'm moved to. I've had these all my life, day and night, 24 hours a day. It's so wonderful. And there's horribleness happens in between. You're attacked by Satan early on, but directly and all. But as soon as you learn to not give a hoot, it's and just not even fight it. Now and then in the beginning you might light a candle or do some kind of prayer or something. Then after a while you don't even need that. It just is. And the good thing about that is once you learn to not react to horror, then you can not react to people who need help. In other words, you're not going to help anyone. For you to react, your mom died, isn't that horrible? No, you just be very quiet. Then what? Thank you. What was her name? You know what I mean? It's just, you're there. You're completely quiet inside, and then you can use these different healing aspects of our psyche to be with someone that they do this or that or the other, and sometimes they need to push forward, and well, I'm going to say another thing here. Like when I work with people for the last 60 years at homes or wherever, I'm quiet. And when they're a good person, it's the right thing. I'm helping them download their case. I just do this on my own. It's got nothing to do with anything else out there. If you can do it, you do it. You can't hang up a shingle. It just is. So, well, what it is God Himself will speak through you. And when you have a good person there, and they'll know, and that will fix them for the rest of their life. You can have them put it on a tape, put it on their device, whatever, and When you have someone you love and you're all a good person, then you are the instrument. You don't have to go anywhere to study for this. It's like, I think in the scripture they said, for the Holy Spirit will be with you that same hour and give you the words and so forth. But this is throughout all the world. All spiritual people know these things. That isn't some new information somewhere. It's always been that way. So everyone here is a very inspirational, powerful figure. And you know what I'm saying? When you have someone very decent and in trouble and whatever, you're going to fill them with the light and have them walk tall and let them know it's not them. The world eats it. You're a good person. You're a good man, a good woman. And then there are many, many words that will follow. Every time I've done it, it's very different for each different person. And it's like God won't let them go until they're completely restored and in charge of their own heart. Always know that He'll be with you. The words, the thought, the presence, the energy to heal, to help someone. In other words, there are all these ways and means to do it. I wrote in a couple books about it that cover all this. If anyone wants to read those. Point is, so you have someone with you, that you don't need anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't even have to pray. Just know that God is with you, and this will just happen, and all the doors and windows will open, and they'll never close. And yes, you'll do it. Early on, you'll have all these horrible nightmares with Satan and with the dark forces and all, and then you'll see what's behind it all, and then it's your utter, absolute, unimaginable joy to want to fight the son of a bitch, because it's like you get that he's the problem with everything, and it's thrilling, and it's a very private person where you can't really tell him around you because it's so complex, and each circumstance, each situation is very, very different from the other circumstance. And then now and then you'll have someone you can trust to express what's going on in your life, and that's a miracle, and that's very rare, because other people they haven't followed the novice's rules. In other words, all these basics about spirituality, to not react, to be there for the other person. It's not about you, to not want or need or desire, to just help, to be there as a spiritual instrument. And that's how the world's going to end. We're going to create a certain brotherhood, me and Greg and Pedro next door here. They're martial arts masters in the highest sense, and so we have a brotherhood. We're trying to fill it out through this gym, through Redwood City, through the world, and it's a very quiet, basic thing, and you don't have to think about it. There's no scorecard. It just is. And everyone senses everyone else's life, their family, their children, whatever it is. We're all aware of each other, and everyone's helping everyone on every level. And that's the reason we're not concerned with, again, the socio-political, the economic realities of the world around us. We're not in the world. So we're doing something that's like from outer space to a small little satellite that's a little off orbit. We're going to straighten it out. I mean, that's how big the world is to us. It's nothing. It's just our heart and soul and love for one another and one another's families and friends, and we're going to remake it in His image, even though it's always been only in His image, and only in this infinitesimal psychic graveyard called the world, this consciousness of the world, does any separation exist. It's a world of separatists. That's the whole idea of the Bible. The Garden of Eden is like, we said last week, as long as there's two people in the world, there'll be war, there'll be fighting. In other words, there are people who think they are their body. And in love, you give that up. Love is shy. Love is kind. It's invisible. It's eternal. It's you. It's me. It's him. It's us. And there are no problems. They're just these spiritual solutions. And they'll unfold within us. Like the 1,000-petaled lotus, it just keeps unfolding and unfolding. So once we open up to this and know that God is with us, it won't take long at all. And it won't be difficult to end all the madness, the depravity, the cruelty, the viciousness, and the violence of this world that seems to be, that never was. It's a mistaken consciousness. And when you open up to the sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, or whatever you're going to call it, it's like this openness, you'll see how small the problems are, and they're all to certain people, believing that this has power over them or that has power over them. Nothing has power over you. You're God's own. You're holy, you're true. You're a permanent fixture in the universe. You will not die. You will change according to divine laws as you open up and open up and open up. In every sense. You're on a holy mission. And as soon as that registers clearly, as soon as that bell goes off in your thought, this is all over for the whole world. As soon as you know that's your reason, there'll be happiness in the kingdom forevermore. Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.